What is good? So you want to buy a Leica? You have to watch this video. This is an excerpt from my new classic film photography podcast, and I interview my homie Vicheth, who knows everything you need to know about buying Leica cameras. Go ahead and tap in. So I wanted to ask, how did you get into, I was about to say flipping, but I feel like that might be
Yeah.
disrespectful to what you do.
No, 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 no.
How'd you get into this business of, helping people sell and then of course helping people buy their Leicas?
So when I got into photography in the beginning, I was always buying used. So every time
Mhm.
I would try to buy and break even at the time, right? And this is before I even knew about film cameras because I hated manual focus. It's all
Of
about
course, yeah.
autofocus back then, right? So then I was watching videos on YouTube and people were like, Leica, Leica, Leica. I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, oh, how much does this cost? I'm like, oh, okay, let me let me wait a little bit. And then I was always looking on like a classified ads, and then one guy was selling an M3 for a very good price. I'm like, okay, this is like 30-40% less than the average price. So I went
Wow.
and bought it. And then I'm like, okay, do you have a lens for sale? And then he undersold me his lens as well. So he sold me the camera and the lens for 850 pounds. This is with the Sumercon.
Wow.
So the set was worth like 1500 at the time. But then I traded it for an M6. And then I realized there was actually a demand and hype for it. And I noticed that the prices were going up and I can actually
Yeah.
upgrade and also make profit for my cameras.
Interesting.
But,
So it would this all was born out of you needing one for yourself. Then you come
yeah,
across a good deal, and then I guess that's where you kind of recognize the. I mean, it's a simple business model. You
yeah,
buy
yeah,
and sell for more.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But it seems like when I heard about you from a couple of our mutual friends, and I was curious,
mhm.
like, how are you finding your cameras, your deals, and from the looks of it, not to give away any secrets, I don't even know if there's a
Yeah,
secret, but you're
yeah,
just finding them in the places where everybody else finds them. You're just patient. You wait for the
yeah.
good deal.
The thing is just like you always have to keep. I'm always looking.
Of
That's the
course,
thing,
yeah.
right? Because there's deals that gets like that. There's times before, even as simple as just looking on eBay. Just to say eBay,
Interesting.
for example, if I go on there and then I see a deal and I'm looking at it before, this is me before I would be like, okay, why is this still up? This is such a great deal. 5 minutes
Interesting.
later, I'm like, okay, it's still up. And then 1 minute later, gone. Then I'm like, okay, if I see a good deal, just buy and question it later. You know what I mean?
I am happy I got mine from a store because I feel like I can feel less crazy about spending the money that I did, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that there's a warranty there and that the
Yeah.
store had vouched for it and tested it. Do you recommend that people like buy Leicas that way, just given the price tag, or do you think it can be safe on eBay and things like that?
I think it could be safe depending on what you buy. If you buy a film Leica, the good thing with eBay is still you can return it if it's not as described. So if
Gotcha.
the rangefinder is out of alignment, or if the shutter speeds are wrong and they don't tell you, if there's a hole, like I've bought an M3 one time, and he said, "Oh, it's mint." He took pictures of it. He just and I I seen it, and it was all scratched up. There was patches in the shutter curtains, and it was just all
Wow.
beat up. And then I'm like, okay, I need to return this. He's like, what do you mean? Your definition of you're very picky. I'm like, I'm not picky, but you're just lying to me, right?
Of course, yeah.
But in that sense, you're safe. But when it comes to digital, it's probably safer to buy it from a store if they offer 6 months or a year
Of
warranty,
course.
which is amazing, especially with Leicas, right?
I'm curious when it comes to digital Leicas, how do you view those from a collector's point of view? Are those also collectibles, or because of the fact that the value is likely to go down, does
Mhm.
that present a different value in your mind?
I'm exploring that right now. So I've got one, two cameras. I bought the 007 version. So
I
they only
saw
have
that. Yeah, that
yeah,
was
the
pretty
K3.
slick on Instagram.
Yeah, I didn't I honestly didn't think I was gonna get it because out of 250 people in the world, I'm pretty sure there's more collectors, crazier collectors than I am, right?
Yeah,
And
of
then
course.
I just messaged like UK. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in this. They emailed me, they called me, they're like, okay, we're gonna put it up for sale. Go and buy it right now. I'm like, okay. So, but
Wow.
I'm just trying to see because for that camera particularly on eBay, people are posting it for like 17,000, 13,000, 15,000 pounds.
Exactly.
But the thing is, that doesn't mean they're selling it for that price. So I'm just kind of seeing where it goes. But even if I sold it for an extra 1,000, 2,000, that's I'm good with that. But if
Yeah,
I
of
can sell it
course.
for 15, I'll sell it for 15, Like that's insane.
Real quick, new classic EZ400 is back in stock. You know, it's our branded black and white film. So go ahead and look the links down below and you'll see exactly where you can get it in your region. We've got stock in the US, UK, in Europe, and we're looking for some retailers in Canada, Australia, and some other countries. So if you've got any recommendations, definitely comment below and let me know. And if you want to buy some, check the links down below.
So I want to go back to the film Leicas. So I was saying, my point earlier was that I feel like they're more interchangeable with other types of rangefinder film cameras. How would you feel if I said this statement, which I think I've said this before? I was like, if you want a Leica, let's say an M6, screw it, let's say like an M3, M4, and you can't afford it, you just can't spend that money right now, you will be totally happy buying like a Canon P or one of those Zeiss R or whatever, or not, sorry, one of those Voigtlander R2 things. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's like good advice to people?
I think so. If they're going for the rangefinder experience, it's kind of like getting your foot in the door. Like before I even considered Leica or rangefinder systems, I bought a cheap rangefinder camera just to see if I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I bought the Leica and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't like the rangefinder experience. But I'm like, hey, listen, I spent this much money. Let's get better at it. So, and then afterwards, maybe 2 or 3 months later, I just fell in love with it. It's the only camera I picked up. I didn't think about picking up my Nikon. I stopped. I haven't used it for 3-4 years now.
Wow.
Like every time I pick up my camera, it's just Leica.
Yeah.
It does what I need it to do, It's just photography. That's all I need it for.
So, and I feel like the glass, optically, obviously, the glass is what matters the most. Experience-wise, the cameras all kind of seem to work very, very similarly. So I'm curious, in challenging you there, do you think there still is an actual quote-unquote upgrade there, or do you agree with me?
I still think there is an upgrade because, okay, for me, my M3, for example, I accidentally dropped it on the floor. There was literally just a little scratch. And the floor is concrete. It dented. It broke and nothing, everything works. No alignment, nothing's scratched, nothing's broken. And I think I've seen YouTubers bring their Voigtlanders on vacation. They're like, oh yeah. And then it's like, oh, it's dead. I'm like, oh, if you had an M3, it probably wouldn't happen. Or an M4, right? And it's the best thing about it is mechanical, right? Like this, nothing's really gonna fail. Unless something catastrophic happens. Like you have to drop it from like a balcony or something for it to break. But other than that, the experience wise, you don't have to buy a Leica. 100%. There's no need to buy a Leica. But if you want one and if you can afford it, by all means get one. But other than that, you'll have fun with the Canon Ps, all the Canon lines, or even just an older Leica. I think there's a lot more haters than are lovers of Leica. Even the people who are into Leica, that say they just bought like an M6 or an M4 and they just paid just above under, and then they see these other Leicas for 50,000, 60,000. They're like, "Oh, you're an idiot. Why do you want to buy them?" Like, people buy them; they're collectibles, right?
Exactly.
It's just kind of hard to question. Like, the most expensive camera ever sold was a Leica, like over 2 million. Like,
Jesus. What was that? I don't know anything about that, but that sounds wild.
It was a Leica Zero, I think. It's like I forgot the numbers. There's like 20 to 30 remaining left, and that was one of the ones they put up for sale and just sold for over 2 million, and that's insane. A camera, sold that much, and it's a Leica, and people are complaining about prices. Like,
that $2 million is not going to make you a better photographer. You know that, right?
No, yeah.
If you can spend 2 mil on a Leica, you're obviously extremely rich because, like, it's chump change. You're like, yeah, of course I'll buy that. It's cool. I don't care what it costs.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, people like you've seen the Leica auctions, right? Have you or no?
No, I haven't. No.
I just started looking at them recently, and some of the Leicas go 20, 50. That's where they sold the most expensive Leica. But I mean, these people who are collectors, serious collectors, they've got money, right?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're buying, if you buy a classic car from the 1920s, it's not going to be faster. It's not going to feel better when you drive it. like it might be super delicate. Like there's all these reasons why it's quote unquote not worth the money, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's the identity of it, the history of it, and all that. So
Yeah.
I support it. You know, I'm not against it. It'd be nice to see a Canon go for sale for like $1 million, but we'll see. What do you see as the future in this kind of market for Leicas? Do you think these prices are just going to keep getting squeezed higher and higher, or is there something that's going to calm things down? For example, you know, film gets too expensive and then you just stop getting so excited about this whole thing.
I think in regards to film cameras, some prices of certain cameras will go down. I'm surprised a lot of compact cameras haven't went down in price, like the T2 or like T3s, because I feel like those are way more riskier. Yeah. If let's just say you buy one for like £1,000 now, £1,000.
Jesus.
For like a T2, and that thing breaks. Wild. It's a brick, right? It's just paperweight.
Yeah.
At least if you bought, you know, like you bought Canon P's, like 3 of them, 4 of them, lenses, right? You can buy that. But I think for Leicas specifically, the value will always retain its value. Just because even just for that example, that other camera, that person's not going to use that camera.
Exactly.
That $2 million, like $2 million.
Yeah.
It's just there. There's so many people who collect Leicas, like insane Leicas, and it's just they don't use them all, and it's just and they'll just pay just to have it, right?
Yeah. If there's one thing that's clear is that brand is very, very strong, and that alone, I mean, that matters. We live in a society where branding is very important for different reasons, good and bad, but ultimately. Yeah, I don't see this madness slowing down. And I guess even if film photography kind of shrank and went backwards for a couple of years, you know, other cameras might become less relevant. You know, I'll become less relevant, but that Leica camera, for those people who still like using film, like you're always going to respect that, you know, no matter whether Portra costs $25 a roll or not, you know.
All right, I hope that was helpful. Do you feel like you know how to buy a Leica now? Well, if you do, go ahead and do it. And if not, get a Canon P like I did. Or I guess I did both, but whatever. You know what I mean. All right, y'all. Till the next episode, I'm out.